All right, welcome to our training, everybody. So one of the tools that we use and really promote here in our office is this Data Labs tool. Um, it's a tool that helps you figure out what's trendy on eBay. It helps you figure out the value of certain products on eBay, and it goes over some of the better sellers in certain categories on eBay, which is all really valuable information for you guys that like to do a little more research and have a better feel for what's actually happening on eBay. My one caveat here is before you start using this tool, just remember there's no research like your own research, and you're never going to get better statistics and information by using this than you would using your own stuff. So what I mean by that is you should be listing a lot of your own products. You should be looking at your own statistics, views, watchers, sales, because I think you get better data out of your own stuff than you would this. But nonetheless, this is helpful. And so I don't think it's the be all end all for research, but it's about the best that's out there for eBay. And so I think for that reason, it's pretty useful. The new address for it is called explore.ebay.com. So that's what you're going to want to use when you go to it, explore.ebay.com. That's for the trending tool. And then there's other addresses here for the best sellers and what's it worth tools. So, I mean, just to make it easy on yourself, again, explore.ebay.com, and that'll take you here to the main tool, okay? You can navigate here. So there's 3 sections. You've got trending, you've got what's it worth, and you've got best sellers. So 1, 2, and 3. How many of you who are here live with me have used this before? Have you guys used any of these eBay research tools at all? If not, that's fine. I'm just wondering if you have. A few of you have. Okay. Those of you who have, do you find it useful? Like, do you feel like you've garnered a little bit of information out of this that's helped direct your listings a little bit? Or do you think it's not been real useful for you? Okay. I'm seeing some mixed answers. A lot of you guys are saying yes, it has been helpful, which I'm not surprised by because there's a lot of good information here. I can't expect you guys to know the market all the time, right? It's like at this stage in my life, I know kids stuff fairly well because I've got a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So I feel like I could tell you all about current Disney movies, toys and stuff that kids like. I know that because I live that all the time. 6 years ago, before I had kids, I wouldn't be able to tell you the first thing about it. So I would have to use this to really learn a market that I wasn't living. And I think a lot of you guys have to do that as you start selling online. Of course, we encourage you to try to sell stuff and get into markets where you've got some interest, but a lot of times you just have to get into markets that you don't know much about. You have to be willing to learn about it. And so I think this is definitely helpful for that. Let's start with this first tool then. Yeah, let me erase my drawings here, and let's talk about the Trending Now tool for just a sec. So at any one time, as you log in, you're going to see a list of things, and you're going to see dates. So let me zoom in just a little bit. Maybe you guys can see this a little bit better. The dates are going to be small, but I'm going to point to them I'm going to circle it with my pen. This is August 25th. Also August 25th. This is the 28th. This is the 28th. And as you scroll down the page, the dates get older, 23rd, 23rd, so on and so forth. And I could keep scrolling. eBay gives us these products that are starting to trend at different times. Okay, so for example, drift bikes. Interestingly, have any of you guys ever heard of a drift bike before? Because that's what this is right here. And they've got a little write-up on it. It says, growing in popularity, drift trikes take wheeled motion a rotation farther. Motorized or non-motorized, the low-to-the-ground bikes allow riders to coast or drift while steering. Enthusiast spin searches. Okay, so anyway, I think this is just eBay's little write-up about it. But you can see here there's a little graph, and it shows you that fairly recently, these have gotten super, super, super trendy, and I actually don't know why. We could do a little research and see why that is, but you can see this graph just moving north right here. Okay, so as the graph shows total searches for the 6 weeks leading up to when the story became a trend. So something must have happened, and I don't know what it is. Something in the news or otherwise happened, because you can see it's a pretty much a flat line leading up to recently, and then this thing shot up. Okay. Let me erase this, and let me scroll down, and then you can see they've got some trending keywords right here. They've got some information on what's it worth. Okay. Used ones, new ones, which is helpful just to get a general feel. You can look down by sales by state, and you can see the different states that are buying the most of them. And then you can see some of this stuff listed as we speak, using some of those keywords. So what's kind of cool about this is you can look back through the last weeks and months and just kind of see if, what's trendy. What are people buying right now? What are people interested in right now? And that may direct some of your listings, or at least maybe give you some clue into some industries you should be looking into. This one doesn't surprise me at all. Lunch boxes. This was trendy, getting real trendy on August 11th. Anybody know why that would be? That should be pretty obvious, right, with back to school in play. And so they show you the number of searches that were done in that 6 weeks. 12,580. You can see what the graph looks like. So anyway, there's some pretty solid information here, and then you can scroll down and see some information about keywords and pricing. So look, guys, if you have absolutely no idea what to sell and you want to get some general ideas, the trending now section is good to start. And I'm not saying you should always sell trendy products. In fact, I often don't, because a trend is just that. It's something that gets super popular for a while, and then it almost turns faddish, and it sort of trails off, and then nobody buys it again. Reminds me a little bit of, maybe Hatchimals. You remember that craze that happened this past Christmas? I didn't sell them, but a lot of people did, and they were selling for 3-4 times retail, and they were crazy because you couldn't find them anywhere. That was a little bit more of a fad, because today, as you look at it, and coming up this Christmas, they won't be nearly as popular. So trendy stuff is what it is. It can get popular for a while, but it may not make up the bulk of your business going forward, and wisely shouldn't. Okay, next thing is the what's it worth section. This is actually extremely helpful, because if you've got a product that you're not really sure the value of it, you can search it here in the what it's worth, and you can get kind of an idea as to what your product might be worth, right? So I don't know, let's type in a leather iPhone 7 Plus case. Okay, let's say you've got opportunities to sell these leather iPhone 7 Plus cases. I'm thinking about this because I recently bought one. And what it'll do is this tool will produce these graphs that'll show you, in general, on average, what they can be worth, both new and used. This data is sometimes a little mixed up and not the best, because it takes into averages into account that may skew the data a little bit. As you can see, it says new 11 to 14 and used 12 to 16. Well, it's not talking apples to apples. It's just talking, generally speaking, leather iPhone 7 cases. So this gives you kind of a general price range. The graph here is usually pretty helpful. It's going to show you quantity sold, represented by these gray bars right here. Okay. You can see a lot of them are sold recently. Again, maybe a back-to-school thing, which is interesting. You can see price levels here. This is price levels of new and used. So they're hovering around, $12 roughly. So, I mean, that's good to know, right? Because if you were looking to get into maybe I'll source some leather iPhone cases and sell them on eBay, you could probably get around $12 a piece out of them. A whole ton of them are selling right now. Right, this is pretty good research that you can do on your own. Okay, you can change the metrics a little bit if you want. You could just do, instead of the last 90 days, you could do last 60 or 30. You could look at new or used only. If we want to do new only, it's going to change it up just a little bit, and you'll see the you'll see the graph here change. And then sometimes you can change the category on it as well. So you can look through, and they'll show you some different versions of cases that are currently being sold right now. So anyway, I just think this is a really good way to research something in a little more detail. I think it's great for you guys who, maybe you're looking to source products. Maybe you have some products there at your home that you want to sell, stuff you've inherited, stuff that's been lying around the house for a while, and you want to just get a good feel for what it might be worth. It's a great place to go to do that. Because really, this is basically crunching all the eBay data out there over the past 90 days and spitting out what eBay says something is worth on their market, which can save you a lot of time, because alternatively, you would be on eBay's site sort of just working down, maybe looking at their completed listings and trying to figure out, what something is generally worth, which is still a good method, but this is supposed to make it a little bit easier, and I think in a lot of ways it does. Okay. Last section here, there's a bestsellers section, which I think is probably by far one of the best parts of this tool. Okay, so bestsellers is where we are, and you can see there's some different things you can do. You can do a keyword search right here, looking for some items to get an idea on bestsellers, to see if there are some specific types of, say, leather iPhone cases that are better sellers than others. You can look at sold items, how long, or sold versus, I believe the other option there is views. Yep, so views or sales. You can look at one or the other. And then you can also look at duration. So you can do in the last 7 days or yesterday. And then you can look to specific categories. So again, assuming you're not really into baby stuff or kid stuff, I am a little bit more because I've got a young family. If I click here on baby, I can see the top sold items within, let's just say, yesterday. The best-selling item in the baby section as of yesterday, and eBay is going to spit that data out to me, which again is pretty cool. It's cool that you can get these numbers crunched here in a hurry. Of course, I say that and it freezes on me. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so this is sold items yesterday in the baby category, and boom, there you go. Right, you can learn from 10 or 15 minutes worth of research what's selling in the baby section without having a kid, right? And that's pretty valuable. And you can do this in a number of different categories, and you saw that here, how I can scroll down. So a lot of my clients, what they're doing when they're using these tools is they're just trying to get a feel for, maybe a niche they could get involved in, or they just want to generally see how one market or another is performing. And you can come into this bestsellers section and scroll through and grab a category. Maybe you want to do whatever, pet supplies is there. Let's click on that. And you can see sold items, let's say in the last 7 days. And you can see this pet playpen, this fence or crate, $25, and there's been 138 buyers in the last 7 days. Okay, you can look instead at viewed items. So rather than measuring by sales, we can look at just views. So I changed the filter there, and this has been viewed 3,400 times. So it gives you, again, an idea of what's popular, what's selling, and hopefully can direct your approach to what you're doing on eBay here. Does that make sense? Questions about that, guys, or is everybody following along with me okay? Seems like most of you guys are getting it, but stop me if I can answer any questions. This really is the same tool that they've had for a while, but before they called it Data Labs. So it was datalabs.ebay.com, and now it's just explore.ebay.com with these 3 different sections: the trending now, the what it's worth, and the best sellers. But again, just a word of advice to you guys. You have to remember that a lot of people use this data. They use these tools, and they can only tell you so much. I think ultimately they're really great to guide and direct you a little bit, but nothing takes the place of your own research, and truly nothing will. And so keep that in mind. I mean, I think a lot of our clients fall into a little bit of analysis paralysis when they use this, because they think that this tool is just going to I just make everything real clear and just basically tell you what to sell, and that's not the case at all. It's there as a guide, okay? And I don't teach this tool real early in the program because I think it does, it sort of, I don't know, it limits you a little bit because you get thinking that you only want to sell stuff in the popular section or the trending section, and there's plenty of other things that sell real well that don't fall into those sections. You know, a lot of people have made a lot of money selling non-sexy products on eBay. So don't let this change your perspective too much. Use it for what it's worth, but you know, keep in mind it's just one of many tools. A good one, albeit, but one of many tools. And really, the one I think I refer to, or the reason I use it a lot, is this bestsellers option, just to show you bestsellers in different categories that you're trying to learn about. So, also the what it's worth. You guys that have stuff at home, antiques maybe, stuff that you know you're just not sure what it's worth. You can check general categories there and get a good general feel for it. Okay. Although, really, if you're selling antiques and stuff that really is truly unique and there's not, you know, many produced, you really should go directly to eBay and see if you can find the exact same thing. The what it's worth tool gives you more general information about, you know, certain products that are mass produced or you know, certain categories of products, not so much the really unique one-off type products that a lot of you guys would have, whether they be antiques or, you know, just items that I don't know, are used and a little bit older. I was talking to a client earlier today that had a cassette tape player that still works, and they were using it the other day, and you know, that's not an antique. It's old, and it's probably a little more rare now. So she would need to go to eBay and look up those very specifically. So anyway, hopefully that helps, guys. This is the new explore.ebay.com tool. Use it for what it's worth. I wish you guys the best, and then we'll see all of you guys next week for a little more eBay training. Thanks for sticking around.